Good afternoon, I'm Shane Masters with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The Police High Command is reporting significant breakthroughs in 6 major gun finds in the island since 2017. The details were highlighted at a JCF press conference on Monday. Prince Moore has the details.
It has been a challenge for members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force to stop all the guns entering the island through various channels. But since 2017, the police have had successes in catching some shipments. This through collaboration with international partners. On November 13, 2017, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agents seized 119 guns and an assortment of ammunition at the Miami International Airport that were destined for Montego Bay. On October 3, 2018, another major gun find at the wharf in Kingston. This included an Uzi submachine gun and more than 600 rounds of ammunition. According to the police, the Uzi submachine gun, along with 9 pistols, 26 magazines and bullets, were stashed in a barrel that also contained food items. Fast forward to 2019, 20 illegal guns were seized, including 6 high-powered weapons and 14 handguns, along with hundreds of rounds of ammunition at the port of Kingston. In 2021, 2 major gun finds at the wharf in Montego Bay, St. James. The first involved 19 firearms and a large number of assorted ammunition. The weapons included 13 handguns, all 9mm pistols, and 6 high-powered rifles. In the second find on January 19 this year, 3 assault rifles were among 5 illegal firearms, as well as more than 100 rounds of ammunition seized. The illegal items were detected in the panels of a refrigerator during routine checks of barrels and other cargo. Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey says, though slow in getting convictions for the gun finds, efforts are being made to have those responsible brought to justice. He noted the successful case which was brought against Jermaine Rooms, who pleaded guilty last July to international arms trafficking in connection with the shipment of 7 rifles, 8 pistols, and 3,000 ammunition in a barrel that was seized in Jamaica. Rooms admitted in a U.S. federal court in Florida that he was the person behind the shipment that was intercepted at the wharf in Kingston in 2017.
There is another seizure that took place in 2017, which led us to the investigation of the Dexter Street gang. 18 persons were arrested and the main witness disappeared. Out of that, the main perpetrator was arrested just December of last year and has been charged with the trafficking of those firearms.
In relation to the 119 firearms that were seized in Miami, DCP Bailey says that investigation is still ongoing.
And there's one in which I think it was 11 firearms were seized. We have actually started an anti-gang investigation. We have identified a number of gang members. We have identified the key players, and we are working jointly with our international partners. We have identified the main perpetrator from overseas, and one of the hindrances, one of the things that prevented us from progressing further is the COVID-19.
As to the most recent finds at the Montego Bay wharf, DCP Bailey says a joint investigation continues with international partners. He says, with the level of work being done, there's no doubt that the perpetrators will be caught. Prince Moore, TVJ News.
The police are yet to charge anyone with the murder of 51-year-old Jermaine Jr., who was murdered in 2016. Mr. Jr.'s body was found at Attorney Patrick Bailey's St. Andrew home on September 20, 2016. The body had stab and bullet wounds. Deputy Commissioner of Police with responsibility for crime, Fitz Bailey, gave an update at a JCF press conference yesterday.
The truth is, we go by the evidence, and I don't think we have the adequate amount of evidence to advance a criminal prosecution at this time. We have done, even since I took over the portfolio, we have had quite a number of case reviews. We have actually done several lines of inquiries, but at this point, we do not have the evidence to mount a criminal prosecution.
It was reported that shortly after 4 o'clock on the morning of September 20, 2016, Mr. Bailey found Mr. Jr.'s body in his living room. A knife was found beside the body. Mr. Jr. was reportedly living at the house at the time. The police said there were no signs of forced entry. Now, this comes following questions about the number of cold cases within the JCF and how many are actively being pursued. DCP Bailey says research would have to be done to ascertain the correct figure. However, he says a team is being assembled to look into those cases.
When you look at the rate of murder in Jamaica, for example, we are having over 1,300 annually, and we solve maybe an average of 56% cleared up. So there are several cold cases, but we tend to identify those that have solvability factors, and then we assign them to, and a team is now being put together to just focus on those type of cases. But it's difficult for me to give you a figure at this time.
2 men have been arrested and charged by the Clarendon Major Investigation Division following the murder of 36-year-old Reverend Father Laureus Lewis of Chapelton, Clarendon, on Wednesday, September 23 last year. Charged are 22-year-old Lloyd Thompson, otherwise called Danjay, and 20-year-old Tafari Wilson, both of Roxborough District in Clarendon. Reports are that on the day, both accused and Lewis got in an argument when a piece of furniture was used to strike him over the head. They then stole a desktop computer, 1 tablet, 1 Samsung A10 smartphone from the house, and a 2018 Hyundai Creta motorcar. An investigation was launched, which subsequently led to the arrest of both suspects on Friday, January 22. Their court dates are not yet finalized. The Jamaica Constabulary Force says there is no truth to reports yesterday that businesses and shoppers were instructed by gangsters to leave the downtown Kingston area. Some media outlets have reported that the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC was deploying additional buses in response to reports of a potential threat of violence. This has been confirmed by the JUTC. Communication Officer for the JCF Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay told our news center this morning that the claims of potential violence came from voice notes circulated on social media.
We saw the voice notes, and when we heard the voice notes, we saw different things going around in social media. But I think that was a strategy on the part of the criminal network to create panic and fear among the people who occupy the downtown space. However, I think the fear level went up on the weekend when one of the person who is said to be a strong influencer in one of the gangs, he was killed. I think he goes by the alias Harry Dog. So I believe that the community itself, understanding pretty much how these gangsters operate, they believe in reprisal. They usually don't wait for the formal justice system to work. The reprisal. So I think they themselves were anticipating reprisal.
Downtown Kingston has been tense following several shootings involving gangs over the past few weeks. The tension is said to have further escalated on Sunday when Harry McLeod, popularly known as Harry Dog, was shot dead. He was said to be an associate of former drug kingpin Christopher Dudus Coke. And it's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back. Continuing the news. There are calls this afternoon for teachers to be included in the priority groups to be immunized against COVID-19 this year. The calls come from head of the School of Public Health and Health Technology at UTEC, Professor Winston Davidson, and president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Jasford Gabriel. This after several schools reported positive cases of the respiratory illness.
On January 4, at least 216 schools across the island resumed face-to-face classes. Positive COVID-19 cases forced 6, Yallas High, Donald Quarry High, Penwood High, Monroe College, Sydney Pagan Agricultural High and Vere Technical High schools to suspend classes. The confirmed cases at these schools sparked concern about the health of teachers in the workplace. Head of the School of Public Health and Health Technology at UTech, Professor Winston Davidson, says the time has come for strong action to prevent the spread of the virus in schools. He argues that teachers should be tested for COVID-19 and be included in the priority groups for vaccination.
My point is that if you test the teachers and you can find in the first batch of the immunizing the teachers, especially those that are in communities where you have a class of about 49 and 50 and 60 children, right? They are exposed, and that is where I think we should concentrate.
Test the teachers and immunize the teachers.
And President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Jasford Gabriel, agrees. He says students are usually asymptomatic, which poses a risk to teachers.
They can contract the virus from kids that are not even testing positive. Something that, puts the teacher at great risk. Within the school system is a space that caters to a lot of interaction and great numbers. But the point has to be made, though, that opening and closing, that's the experience right across the world, so it is not strange. How long you're closed for is a factor, obviously, of the extent of the population and those that would be exposed. But clearly, any school administration would have to be responsible enough once there is a positive case to put the necessary systems in place.
Professor Davidson is recommending that a small group of students be admitted in each classroom to control the spread of COVID-19 at schools.
I really feel that if you have a certain space to teach, that you should in fact have children, if children are going to come in there, then you have a limited number of children coming in there. And you rotate the limited number of children and you also do it online. That, to my mind, is the most rational approach. And you make sure that the teacher is given the immunization, and you make sure that the teacher has her mask on, and also the necessary hygiene in the class is done.
He is calling for the closure of schools which have reported COVID-19 cases. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And Jamaica's COVID-19 case count is nearing the 16,000 mark. The Ministry of Health is reporting that 195 COVID-19 cases were confirmed yesterday. This has increased the tally to 15,973. Their ages range from 4 months to 96 years. Kingston and St. Andrew recorded most of the cases with 47, followed by Manchester with 37. Meanwhile, COVID-19 has claimed another life in Jamaica. The latest case is a 75-year-old male from St. Ann. The health ministry says 92 of the cases remain hospitalized. 11 of them are critical. And the scientists say the Kent variant of coronavirus that has been spreading in the UK appears to be undergoing some worrying new genetic changes. Tests on some samples show a mutation already seen in the South Africa and Brazil variants that are of concern. Experts say although this change may reduce vaccine effectiveness, the current ones in use should still work. The UK has already stepped up measures to control the spread of the new variants. Urgent testing for the South Africa variant is starting in parts of England, and travel restrictions have been introduced to stop more cases entering from abroad. Experts working with Public Health England have only found a handful of cases of the UK variant, that is, with a new mutation. Too many years too long. That's the cry of residents of Troja in St. Catherine who have grown tired of waiting for a road in their community to be repaired. Codian Barrett has the details.
Residents and taxi operators of Troja are demanding that this road be fixed. The road runs through Darling Spring, Troja and Facey in St. Catherine. According to residents, every year they are promised it will be fixed.
Every MP come here, I said things then do over. Left the road, them not fix it when they win, then God, you not see them again. Me never see this in my whole history of my life from my born in Jamaica till the day.
It has been almost 30 years, 3 decades this road hasn't been fixed. We've been getting promises after promises, and we are fed up. Enough of it right now.
For over 20 odd years, and it looks very bad to continue to promise the people them in the community for a new road every election, and after they win, then turn them back on them. It's not good.
The condition of the road also poses a challenge for the vulnerable.
And this road, long time this road don't fix. Long time from me in a grade 7. And right now it's hard, because my granny even can't take taxi, because when them take taxi, so the pothole to jerk her up. And she's sick. So right now I want to tell the MP say we need some road.
If somebody be sick up here and for reach the hospital, it didn't make sense if everybody try.
What's the fire house about now?
And the fire brigade or the police for reach. You know, the road is very bad, man.
And motorists are frustrated, having to foot the bill to fix their vehicles.
The parts can last 1 week on this road. Every week we have to be underneath the car, working on it. If you can't help yourself under the vehicle, you'll be spending thousands at mechanic. So you have to buy some tools and try to help yourself most time.
According to residents, other roads in neighboring communities were repaired.
Riversdale community have been fixed countless times. I have been born in Facey and I've never seen Facey fixed, especially from the footing from Troja to Riversdale, Sandygut, Darling Spring, never been fixed.
But the Member of Parliament for the division, Carencia Morrison, says she has continuously sought representation for the community. She says she has been in dialogue with Prime Minister Andrew Holness, but there are budgetary constraints.
He even asked me as Member of Parliament to suggest some of the roads that in the very short term we could look at. And that road was slated as one. This was something that was relayed. But I will say this very firmly. Indeed, I want to have this road done. But I can only do as much as the resources allow at this time.
She says other roads in the division have been fixed.
When we look in St. Catherine, Northeastern, it so happens that Troja Division has received the bulk of road rehabilitation. So there are competing forces. We need to understand that. And I am aware of what caused what happened today. But more anon, I stay true to working with the people, and I hold true to my commitment to doing the best that I can.
And responding to claims that she is out of reach, she says her office is open to the public 5 days each week. Cody-Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
News now in sports. With the government's recent announcement that the sporting industry will reopen in short order, the wish for One Track Club is that local meets will resume within a month as athletes prepare for the Tokyo Olympics. Denise Walters tells us more.
Olympian Johan Blake recently commented that Jamaican athletes will be left behind when the Olympic comes around if local competition doesn't resume soon, as the rest of the world is staging events. His concern is echoed by head coach for Sprintech, Maurice Wilson, who wants to see activity on the local track calendar in a matter of weeks as athletes continue to prepare for the Tokyo Games.
I'm hoping, as I said earlier, it will be 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and no more than those 4 or 5 weeks, that we can get back to competition sooner rather than later.
He says it may require thinking outside the box until things return to normal.
Well, I don't want to think that the longer we take to get back to regular competition, then we will have to be very creative. We did that in the summer. MVP organized the Velocity Fest meets, and we were a part of that. And when I refer to we, I'm referring to those other clubs that prepares seniors for competition. I think that we will have to be creative in terms of how we move forward until the situation is regularized.
Meanwhile, with athletes not competing, Wilson says there are ways they can remain sharp and ready to go.
Well, the meets are not being held, so I think the coaches can use time trials as substitution.
And I'm quite sure that most of these organizations, they have enough persons that they can use as, whether you want to use it, we call it rabbit, and so on, just to keep the athletes competitive.
No track meet has been held locally since the start of the year because of the coronavirus pandemic. Denise Walters for TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Prime Time News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.